Close that. And I'm going to record on this end. Let's see. Is it live? Yeah, it's live. Let me just double check. Refresh. Okay. Yep. Put that on mute. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host and researcher, Louisa. I heard myself. Hold on. Why do I hear myself? Oh.
Oh.
Shouldn't be hearing myself talk. Okay. We're all set now. I'm recording. All right. So this is GoldFish Report number 1119, and it's Friday, November 1st, 2024. This is our weekly Food for the Soul with our returning friend, a psychic medium, Mark Christopher Nelson. Good to see you, Mark. Welcome back.
Louisa, as always, I'm happy to be here. Darn glad to be here.
Yeah,
So,
good.
is
You
today
know,
All Saints Day? Is today All Saints Day?
today is All Saints. Was that yesterday? Today.
I That was Halloween so far as I know. I
Mm.
should have known this in advance. Forgive me.
Mark, we're only 4 days away now from this election.
Yeah,
And
I
you
know.
were saying before we started, you were saying how it's way too quiet. And I totally agree. Something is way too quiet, but we are seeing the news. We're seeing a lot of election fraud happening all over the country, especially in those key battleground states. What have you been seeing?
Well, my sense is that it's like I mean, I've felt all along that there will be some level of rioting and or civil unrest,
Mhm.
something other than LA fans celebrating the Dodgers' victory in the World Series by burning and burning buses and stealing shoes. So I don't get that.
One
But
guy blew his hand off. Did you see that?
no.
Oh my God, it was so graphic. He blew his hand off. Oh, he was lighting like an M80 or something in the street, and it just blew off right in front of him. I mean, his hand is gone. It's like his fingers were just shredded. Yeah, it's
Well,
crazy. Why do people have to be violent if there's a celebration? Why are you
I
being
don't know.
get it?
Well, maybe they're violent people. That's just what they do. But I would say for everyone listening, still be aware, be conscious. I don't want to give power to the universe with the idea that we're saying certain things could happen or will happen. But I would also say is that be conscious of it if you're putting yourself in a position in the public or you have taken no precautions to protect yourself in the event that there is something
Mm,
that interrupts your ability to go to the grocery store or
mm,
whatnot, have
right.
cash. Just be a little bit careful about that. That said, I really do feel like it feels too quiet. I know, I mean, to your point, we're seeing election fraud. It also makes me think, what will Americans do when, the election fraud becomes, if it becomes compounded? Or will someone get angry? Are we being baited into that? I'm not sure. But I would say that that's a distinct possibility. So everyone needs to be, I would say, prayerful. I feel like that just from my own perspective, I'm feeling the need not to get angry, but to pray more and to put my energy into something that feels loving and to not be angry, not be spiteful, whatever negativity. I don't think God wants us to be like that. And that also brought up one of the things that you and I were going to talk about tonight is um, why are we here in the first place? It feels like kind of a broad esoteric question. Many people have discussed it, but I still keep coming back to a couple of basic principles that God made us, that God created us in his image, man and woman, and that he wanted us to um, to show love, and he's being loving to us. We're being loving to him, and that and through it all, though, it's almost like a huge exercise. It is in free will. What do you do with your opportunity to be loving? Do you express love for the person next to you, someone of a different political party? Do you try to light an M80 and blow your hand off?
Mm,
These are choices that we all make. So please think about what you're doing and how we, venture into the world because each of our little people, the little things we do contribute to the big thing. They contribute to our culture, how we talk, how you express yourself to the people that you love and care about. So, um, I say be conscious. I mean, being conscious of your choices, how you feel, and it does have a ripple effect of a huge, huge way. Also, too, it gets back to me at a soul level. Why did I come here? I mean, I really do feel like at a soul level, at a higher place, we choose the world that we want to step into the family, into the our sex, into our country, our place, and our being. And so I try to think, okay, why am I here? I'm here because I wanted to learn and I wanted to be reminded that I am worthy of love and that other people are, in spite of terrible hardships that come to us. We all have something. I talk to enough people to know that nobody lives a life unscathed. We all have something we can point to as a thing that can shape you. The question is, do you let it shape you in a negative way or a positive way?
Mhm.
And that's, again, that darn freedom of choice.
Well, the hardships, as you said, it's like if life's just a little too easy, then the easy path is not usually the path that you know, learn the most from. It is usually
Yeah.
those hardships. And I wanted to just make a comment on what you had said before. You said you wonder if we're being baited into what they want civil war. I mean, they want us to have civil war. And I think these people who came in across the border illegally have are prepared to fight Americans. Now, did we not just get a FEMA approval? Did they not just pass a law giving a FEMA um, the right to, or the military, the right to kill Americans? I mean, Americans, are we waking up and listening to this? And then,
No.
then you have the IRS hiring more agents who have guns. What are they planning, folks? Wake up. This is
Yeah, no.
not, I mean, and I don't want to get, I'm just saying we do need to pay attention to these things and we do need to respond. And you know, I can't just, jump on um the uh the love and light wagon, because that, we have to take responsibility while we're here for our our circumstances to a certain extent, right? Some things are
Mhm.
not in our control, but some things are in our control, and we should exercise that control. But you're right. See, that's the whole test, you see, as you were saying. It is about free will. It's
Mhm.
about our free will. He loves us so much that he gave us free will. And if we are going to rebel against him and deny him, like Satan did and the other fallen angels, then um well, we know already how it's going to end for them. So,
Yeah.
I just don't think I think about like how these angels who were supposed to be watchers, how they corrupted mankind and humanity and
Mhm.
themselves. And now if you want to follow them, then you're going where they're going. You're not going to heaven.
No.
And this is really the bottom line is, what are we learning here? What are our choices?
Mhm.
And I mean, let me ask you something. When you're doing like a mediumship reading, I mean, how many times do people what are people's greatest regrets? I would say, without giving any names or anything, but I mean overall, what kinds of things do people regret the most? Because that's really what our lesson is, right? This is our
Yeah.
lessons.
I hear a lot of people, I mean, I've heard of people, I mean, say that they wish, and this is people in spirit that I've talked to, have said, I wish I had not killed, wish I had not robbed. I mean, there seems to be a deep sense of regret. There are certain people I think that are um, very wound up in like dark, evil energy that don't seem capable of remorse or um, an awareness of the pain that they've caused. I mean, I've really seen some energies that are like that, but the large majority seem to be like I was selfish. I let someone down. I mean, it's all about somebody else. It's like I let someone be hurt. I didn't, take into consideration what my actions would mean to other people. Suicides. For
Mm,
them, I mean, when I see someone or I experience a spirit who has committed suicide, they are usually in a state of like, I mean, they always say, I'm getting help.
mhm.
I'm no longer in pain. I'm no longer suffering. I'm no longer confused. No one says, yeah, that was a great call. It's almost like they're on being triaged by other spiritual beings to help them come to grips with the ripples of pain that they have caused, even if they didn't see it at the time.
So they're not saying, "Oh, I'm so glad I left." They're not saying that.
No, they're looking back. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I try to tell, I mean, I try. I hear constantly that just because you've left this physical plane doesn't mean you've stopped caring about the people you've left behind. You don't stop caring about the people you leave behind. You care about them more. And if anything, there's a greater sense of like, I feel powerless to, if I were in the physical still, I could go to them and help them or ask them to help me. But no one is thrilled. I mean, they make the best of it. They come to grips with it. They accept I'm
Mhm.
here. There's acceptance. There's understanding. People learn. They take the time to, and not just, suicides, but anyone that is led what many might consider um, a life filled with evil or bad choices.
Mhm, mhm.
I hurt people. No one ever feels good about that. No one.
Really?
None. And so that's really one of the big things. Also, too, I mean, I would say it's like that I left. Oh, I hear this all the time about I left this undone. I left this. I wasn't thinking enough of other people. I left, other people to pick up after me. No one likes to have someone pick up after them. I mean, you feel it's like you can love someone, but if they leave you in a place where you can't be, you're having to clean up their mess. It's hard for them, but I think it's even worse for the person who left the mess.
Wow. Wow. Look, this is tremendous wisdom and insight that you're giving us
Well,
through your mediumship that you do. And that goes to and speaks to, well, that's what I was getting at earlier today when I was talking about the soul and or spirit, and that's what you're communicating with and what really happens to them. And I don't know if you really know, like, I
I
don't
think
think not everybody goes to the same place, which is why we should be very careful about what we choose in this life,
Mhm.
right?
I think that what I see, at least from my perspective,
Right.
um, to me, hell, I mean, I don't see people in hell when I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
That may be something that is kept from me. I
Right.
fully
Right.
admit it. I'm not, I'm just not given that. But what I do see are people suffering with regret and unsure of how to um, change what has occurred.
Mm,
To me, the idea of hell would resemble being aware of the pain you've caused without any recourse for trying to make it better. I mean, you have to have a conscious being. You have to be in a place where, you care about how other people live, die, succeed, suffer, succeed, feel,
mhm,
find, meaning in their lives. And if you do things that actively take away their chance for a meaningful and happy
mhm.
existence, that knowledge feels an awful lot like hell.
Okay, I'm just putting a message in the chat for everybody. I think we have a question already. Are you ready?
You bet.
Second. It's in the chat. Okay. Okay, so hi Charlene and Jenny, Cheryl C. Good to see you all. Thanks for coming by. Let's see. So Jenny has a question for Mark. Was wondering if you can see if her brother, Charlie, has a message for his mom or his friend Andrew. They are missing him terribly.
All right. For some reason, I'm seeing candles, birthday cake. I don't know if anybody had a birthday. I'm seeing bright, seeing celebration. He's telling me he was there. I'm seeing bright candles, bright fun, bright, bright, bright. He says, I'm okay. He says, truly, I checked out, like I just disappeared. And he says, I um, absolutely regret, cutting. I mean, it's just like I cut out on everyone. That was my mistake, but I'm okay now. Um, um, it feels like mom is dealing with a particular level of heartbreak. Please tell mom that I've learned a lot from being with her, around her, and other people. Um, part of me is still, I still feel like I'm Charlie. I want her to know that the prayers she says, I hear, that I'm still conscious, that I still love to hear her laugh. Her laugh was important to me. I tried to make her laugh, but I'm okay now. And I hope she is, and all of you are too.
Wow. So that's interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, I think once you're on the other side, things are definitely like you're free of the body, you're free of this particular dimension, I'll
Hmm.
say, right? So the worries of this world are left behind,
Hmm.
um, for the most part. You
Hmm.
know, people who have regrets still have those, but um, that's quite interesting. Just let me know, Jenny, if you think that, made sense. Charlie said he was there. He was some birthday celebration
I see
where
like
there
a
were
lot of
candles, we said.
candles in front of face.
Hmm.
Uh, Two, what we do when we're not, dealing with looking at our regrets,
Hmm.
we're thinking about what do I want to do next?
Hmm.
So, do I need to find a new way how do I really experience what freedom might be like? How do I understand what it's like to uh, have more resources to make a difference in someone's life? What choices will I make? We try to look at the things that am I just going to be a child that is here for a week and passes? Is my job just simply to teach other people how to live or love? Is it someone that it might just coming in to help someone overcome? That's part of the bargain, the
Hmm.
deal, the choices. It's like I'm going to come make a physical sacrifice in order to help other people come together in a way that perhaps they wouldn't if I had not been there. So I think we do try to
Yeah.
make these choices.
Mm.
And sometimes we come in knowing we're only gonna have bad choices. How do I contend with that? What do I learn from that? I think all of us face a couple of tough choices in the near future. How do I react to a situation that um, seems unfair or
Mhm.
dark or evil? These are choices we're all going to have to make. And I think that one thing I will tell you is that trying to be clear with in your mind with what God wants for you, what Spirit wants for you, what the divine, it's all the same to me. God, Spirit, the divine, Jesus. They're all, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm comfortable with saying Jesus because I feel like he's I'm trying to be connected to him. I want God to know me, Jesus to
Mhm.
know me. So anyway, that's a I don't know if I took us off too far in the wrong direction.
No, not at all. I mean, I guess I think the most important thing for Jenny is that, yeah, she says, thank you. I appreciate you so much. It's given us such comfort. My son's birthday was before he passed, but Charlie's birthday was just a few days after he died, and I threw him a birthday party.
Oh,
Very good.
all right.
That
Well, he was there. He was there.
he was there. Mark and I were talking, and he was giving me a message before we started the report tonight, and he had said something about um seeing a bus, something about a bus losing its brakes or whatever,
We're
and I
going
had
downhill.
going
Us
downhill.
going
Okay.
downhill, not
Okay.
being able to
I
stop.
had just I just sent, I mean, within 10 minutes of, well, I would say no, I would say within like a half an hour, I had posted, I had looked at a, it's very slow tonight. I don't know what's going on. Oh, 1 second. Okay. I was looking at the news on my Twitter page, and I'm going to show you what I was looking at before we started our report tonight. And you're not, I guess you are going to believe this, right? So take a look at this.
Oh God.
The guy gets up and walks into the pub for a beer after getting hit by a bus.
The only logical choice. Oh my God.
Oh my God. I just got hit by a bus. Let me go have a beer. Maybe he went for a whiskey. We're not sure.
I'm thinking it was something stronger than a beer.
I think so
Light beer isn't going to
too.
cover you and get you through
Whoa.
that. Oh my God.
So
Well,
I'm like, Mark, I said, Mark, this is wild here, huh? This is
oh my God.
this is crazy stuff. Not crazy, good crazy. I mean, it's an amazing gift that you have. And I wonder if that was a confirmation
Yeah,
that
maybe for the other message.
spirit was, watching what I was doing, someone was aware of what I was doing or whatever. And so
Well,
that's
maybe it's a
interesting.
confirmation for the other part of the message that I gave you
Yeah,
about you.
yeah.
Okay.
And also, maybe it's time to go have a beer. Who knows?
Yeah. The moral of the story, kids, is don't play in the street. Okay. If you're walking out of a pub, look both ways.
And for the big
Okay.
kids, moral of the story is a beer will fix it temporarily till he wakes up
I
the next morning and his
what do you
aches
say?
and
Guinness
pains.
for strength? I'm guessing Guinness for strength.
Because we all get hit by a bus and decide to go have a beer because that's the thing we do.
It's a metaphor, but it's also in this place that it turned out to be the real thing.
Kind of funny though. I mean, I thought it was funny how I had just viewed that. Thought it was so funny. I sent it to a friend of mine, and then I did a report before this one tonight, which I'm going to upload afterwards. So it's just some things I needed to put on the record and to kind of set straight where we're going in the future with reports, because the food for the soul, that's really what it's all about. And we started this with Scott Werner, Dr. Scott Werner, and he passed away, and sadly, and Mark also knew Scott very well, and it just seemed like a very natural, um, a gravitational pull. How can I say, right? That
He
we
walked me into
continue to
it, and I'm
do the
grateful.
reports, yeah, yeah, together. And I'll tell you, Goldfish Report has had many incarnations, should I say, because I've had many. The thing is this: we've had many different types of segments. Okay, we've had political, we've had regular interviews, we've done Steel Magnolias for I would highlight some really amazing women. We did POTUS reports for a long time, strictly politics and food for the soul. So they were all different kinds of reports, and that's a good thing because I didn't want to ever get pigeonholed into one type of reporting, and I thought that at this point, um the political theater reports I did with Jim Fetzer, the POTUS reports, I had different co-hosts for POTUS reports too. It's evolved. I mean, we went through many changes, and everybody does. And it was still compelled. I was feeling compelled to continue to do this. So I'm trying to serve heaven the best I can by trying to get the truth out. The report I did before this one was to put things on the record, because um uh I wasn't right about everything, but I have always sought the truth.
Mhm.
And in a world of deception, it is very hard to find sometimes. So right.
Well, I like to say just I reserve the right to be wrong,
Yeah.
because I mean, even if we all are living different things. Uh, different versions of the telephone game. We're told one thing, we have to try to repeat it. We hope we're hearing the right thing. We don't know. Half the time, I mean, with so many people trying to um, manage our thoughts through information, through technology, through deception, because it isn't just about money, it's about control. It's about someone having control over what you do each day. So
Mhm.
if you do recognize that, all right, there's a good number of people out there that are trying to incentivize me to do something, um, be it good, bad, indifferent. We talked briefly, didn't we just say about, are we being baited into a civil war? Um, I can't think of a single person that would relish that other than someone who's oppressed by a demon. No, I mean, I don't know people that want to hurt other people. I know people that will, if you trip, they'll run to your assistance.
Right.
If you're hungry, they'll most likely offer you a meal. They'll try to lift you up. They'll give you a hand. That's the way I think the overwhelming majority of people are like. But there's also, I really do believe in demonic oppression and possession.
Mhm.
I feel like that, again, it isn't just, when we talk about some extreme examples like that, it's it's not like someone just said, "Oh, I'm having a nice day, and now I think I'm going to follow Satan." No, it's like you make um, a lifetime of choices up to that moment when you realize, all right, how did I get here? If you ever ask yourself, how did I get to a point where I'm comfortable with something so evil or reprehensible that I never could have imagined myself doing it when I was 8 years old? At 8 years old, I was worried about playing baseball for the New York Mets. I was very focused. I'm going to be a center fielder, you
Mhm.
know, and then, and like millions of other people. And then you end up with people making these choices that it's like, it's okay if I hurt one, two, 100, 1,000 people, so long as I benefit in some small way. You have to make a lot of choices and a lot of bad choices to get yourself there. I also really want to encourage people that even if you think there's no way out of this, I still do feel that God will, I believe in forgiveness. The Lord's Prayer, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who, um, sin against us.
Right.
And so if you can, don't feel isolated. Don't feel you can't go back. It may not be easy going back, but you won't feel isolated. You won't feel alone. You won't feel hated. You'll discover, get a glimpse of what it feels like to experience love. To me, love is the greatest addiction in the world.
That's funny. I'm looking at some of the comments in the chat, and we have some people are like, "Yeah, I need a Coors Light after seeing that video." Yeah, definitely lucky. I drink 12 beers exactly, Cheryl and Charlene. Very funny.
Keeps you
Sunny's
loose.
Sunny's here too. Oh, and I also wanted to say not to omit our Country Roads reports that we did for a long time with Winston Trout and our Uniting the Light reports. So I had so many different kinds of reports, and so I didn't want to forget that. I could never forget Country Roads. That was so much fun. But anyway, Sunny's here and she wants to know if there's any messages from Casey.
Casey. Yeah. Oh, I feel like I'm seeing a jack-o'-lantern at her house, Sunny? I know a lot of people have them. I'm seeing a big pumpkin for Casey. And I feel like that she's telling me that, oh, I'm smelling cinnamon around Sunny. I don't know if this is, or if there was a reason why I would be smelling cinnamon when I'm thinking of Casey. It's a beautiful thing. She's saying that it's like, enjoy every minute of the daylight. Enjoy, these moments. Know that we could always have these dark laughs about a lot of things. I'm so glad, Mom, that you're still thinking of me. I'm so glad that we can again, I don't know if someone's drinking cinnamon, had something with cinnamon. I'm seeing a big kind of goofy jack-lantern lit up. I don't know if this is one that you did for her, but I'm just seeing it, and she's grateful for this. She also feels like there's this one. I think she's got a new dog. I'm seeing it running in circles around here. Feels like it's such a kind of crazy, happy little animal. So enjoy this. and enjoy the rapture of feeling alive. That's what I'm getting from Casey.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that, Mark. What, uh, what has the other side revealed to you, um, that you think you feel would, is like most healing? I mean, the messages are very healing. Obviously, they're very healing because, as you said, the consciousness survives the body. The problem is we just aren't high enough in consciousness ourselves to be able to receive those messages, especially when we're grieving.
Mhm.
So, what have you found? I know this is I mean, it might not be, you might not be able to answer the question in the way that I maybe am hoping, but what is the most healing kind of thing? Does spirit ever offer messages regarding how their loved ones, how they can heal, how they can go on
Yeah.
without them? It's so hard. This idea of going on, the grief is so heavy.
Uh-huh.
And what do they say about how to go on?
A big part of it is learn to control where your mind goes. When I talk to people in grief, all they can do, some, is focus on the one that's lost.
Yeah.
Focus on you know, the the person that is driving them insane, that they can't hug them, hold them, and that they say, I feel powerless to think of anything else but that person. Well, God, Spirit, the divine has given you the ability to, in a sense, I call back up the truck, back up a little bit from what is in your face, and then to say, okay, I'm going to choose to look here. It's not that I don't care anymore, but it's about self-preservation. It's about God recognizing that God does not want you to live in pain. God does not want you to suffer anew the pain and the loss every day. It doesn't mean that it's not there. Doesn't mean that you don't value that person. It does. But the idea is that at an intellectual level, you know that person that was lost doesn't want you to be in a constant state of endless pain. They don't. So I would say Spirit has taught me how to find, and everyone that I talk to on the other side, find that quiet place in your head where you have some control of what you're thinking about. And then you can find peace in that. The person you lost is here, but the peace that you're seeking is right here if you choose to say, I would like that. Um,
Mhm.
I use prayer to clear my head. If I've got like repetitive, endless thoughts that it's like, get out of my head. But and I'll pray, but then I also look for silence, for quiet, meditation. And that's where I can truly step back from the things that I'm fearful of or suffering from and find this little bit of um, quiet space, this other place that feels very healing. And in this space where you're not being bombarded with a cacophony of sounds and voices and everything else, you can
Mhm.
hear, identify the messages that feel healing and move towards them.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, grief, everyone has to go through their stages of grief, and some get stuck in some stages.
Mhm.
And it's I know I did. I mean, when I lost my father, it was I was I was so devastated. Oh my God. I never thought I would. It was so intense that I just never thought that I would ever get over it. I mean, it took me a long time, and longer than it should have. But these bonds, this is what it's all about here, right? It's like the bonds that we create with people, or especially in a parent relationship, right? You create that individual,
Mhm.
you bring them into this world, and then um when for whatever reason one of them, passes, and that bond is just you feel that bond break. I mean, you feel you know, I guess we take it for granted though. We do take for granted what the love we've had for one another. has created, how strong those bonds, I don't know, are they esoteric um ropes or esoteric like what, I don't know what how to describe it. Their bonds, their attachments, it's entanglement in quantum. And that's the problem, is that entanglement is that
Mhm.
you feel that immense loss. It is very difficult. Like, but I eventually really did start, coping with it better. And we all have to have, there's a book called Necessary Losses, and it is, it, it does help us to become more, I would say, sovereign is not really, no, it's not really the right word. More independent in emotionally, and not rely on other people for your emotional, um, health, um,
Nice.
it requires you to be more self-reliant on all of your needs, really.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, I lost my first dad when I was 11, and that was, um, it whipped up a lot of fears that an 11-year-old would have.
Mm-hmm, hmm.
Then I lost my stepdad when I was about 60. And I recognized, I mean, I feel blessed that I can actually still talk to my dad in spirit, and I get messages that provide a modicum of what he gave me in life, but I
Hmm.
get messages. I don't get the big bear physical hug from him that I really love. But in this case, with my dad George, I recognize that he gave me something that I didn't get from other people. He would, you know, be this common sense sounding board. He would help me feel like all right, what you did was really good. What he would provide validations that I trusted implicitly, as
Hmm.
opposed to maybe those I got from someone else.
Hmm.
And then so I began to realize, okay, I miss him, his physical nature. I'll never forget just what the big, lovable man was. But I also recognized, okay, where else do I turn to if I want that validation that dad would give me on a regular basis? So I actually didn't mind you saying the sovereign, which to me is like being able to stand on your own in a sense.
Right.
So I came to realize that, there are other ways that I can find that validation for um, the choices I make, the things I do, the way I behave.
Mm.
I'm learning, and it's a process.
Right.
I would be dishonest to say otherwise, but I recognize that even without dad saying, all right, what you're going to be okay and everything really is not as bad as you think. I've learned to find other ways to get to that gift, that reward, that sanctuary. And I think if you're in the middle of a loss, think about what did that person provide to you other than just being this loving presence that made you feel good? Why did he make you feel good? Why did she make you feel good? And then look to see, are there ways to get to that? Is there someone else in your life that is important? Or is your role changing where you have to fill in that blank for yourself?
Sorry, I just had a ring notification at my door, so I just had to see if it was an animal, or I don't know. Sometimes it's a
A
bug.
mineral or a vegetable? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, no, it's a bug. Sometimes, they just pick up bugs, that fly past the,
Hmm.
yeah. So, let's see, let's go back to the chat and see if we have, okay, so no other questions right now. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I think, what else have you,
Oh,
well, let me just ask you this. Are you still on track? Has your opinion or your intuition changed about what the election's going to be like? Who's going to
no,
win?
I feel like, well, I still feel that Trump will win. I think he's going to win in a big way, and I think that there's going to be legal impediments thrown up to prevent what we think is going to be the ultimate outcome. These legal impediments
Mm-hmm.
become bad reflection on the party and the people who are trying
Mm-hmm.
to prevent the people's will.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is going to have a bad
Mm-hmm.
outcome because in the old days when you can only get your news or information from a handful of under control networks, now we can all see it, hear it, feel it, get the information other places. And so I tend to think that if someone is participating in a great fraud, they will be seen like they've never been seen before.
Mhm.
So I would ask those people before you are completely boxed in by the choices you make to reconsider because I just feel like there's going to be um, more real reality being exposed, you know.
Do you think that Kamala Harris is going to refuse to certify the election results then?
I
She's
think that,
already said she's going to refuse to do it, so that's
yeah,
probably
I
what
feel
you're
like that
talking
that would
about.
be an impediment that
Yeah.
she could um, put out there in order to, you know, and then what do we do if, she
Mhm.
chooses to um, thwart the will of the
Mhm.
electorate?
Right.
That's going to be a messy thing. Also, too, why is the White House surrounding itself right now with another layer of spiked fences? Why are they doing that right now? That I just saw a video
Yeah.
from one downtown. They in right around the White House. What
Yep.
and why is the White House surrounded by fences, but our borders are not?
Good
Why is
question.
that?
Good
No,
question.
it's an obvious question, thanks, but it's like,
Mhm.
why are they adding though to the security? Why are businesses in downtown Washington putting up plywood to protect their stores? What are they expecting? Who's telling them to expect this? Um, and this is something we all have to ask ourselves. Are we being baited here?
Yeah.
Are they doing this because they know that they're going to do something that is going to enrage?
Mhm.
60% of the country.
Right.
And so we have to be conscious of what they may be doing to us.
Yeah. Well, and that's why they're damned. And no matter what, we have to, like you said, watch how we respond to this. We have to be careful, but we should do and exercise every, option legally that we can. Now, I can't do anything personally uh other than vote, but you know, there has to be an apparatus in place that will bring this. I mean, and individuals can do this. I mean, the Brunson brothers brought four cases to the Supreme Court, and one, I don't know. Is that going to happen? Is it going to be the so I think that is going to come into play, and I'll tell you why. Because at the last rally, Trump talked about how Kamala Harris has violated her oath of office, so he accused her of this.
Hmm.
So we've never heard him say that before.
Hmm.
Or if we have, we weren't really paying that close of attention or not connecting this. But why say it now? And I think that it's uh, just kind of setting the groundwork for this Brunson case that will probably eventually be decided. And that is that all of Congress violated their oath of office when they did not investigate, and it was their duty as their in their oath of office, it was their duty to investigate that because it's of national security issue, a national issue. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But so
Well,
I
there's always the challenge. What if the Department of Justice chooses not to do anything? What if they choose not to respond? What if, this, what I mean, um, the different parts of our government are not responding. We could put together all kinds of charges, and then the FBI and CIA say, we're not going to act on that.
yeah.
So what does that leave us? I mean, if our government chooses willfully to ignore the laws that our country is based on,
Mm,
this gets us in a very dangerous place. And of course, maybe
mm,
they're just banking on, people to say, oh, well, I'm going to go to work today. I'm not going to think about it. And the CIA and the FBI can choose not to prosecute people because it can't all be the truth, even though, there's a lot of
mm.
proof otherwise. So, I mean,
Well,
it's a little, it is very concerning to say the least.
Mm. Charlene brought up a good point. Yeah. The helicopters, there were military helicopters also landing at the White House, and they were saying that well, there was a drill. They said that they were doing a drill to evacuate Congress because they did that at the Capitol. But there was also an announcement that there was going to be some sort of drill. Oh, so the drill at the Capitol was in case an airplane crashed into the Capitol and they had to evacuate all of Congress. And so but the helicopters, we don't have the information exactly what that's all about. They said they were conducting some kind of drill, but I haven't found that information yet as to exactly what they were doing there. Could be good or bad, we don't know.
But I would say,
The
what about the optics? You know,
right.
there Washington is supposed to be all about the optics. They're conscious of how things
Yeah.
look. Why are we having helicopter drills in the middle of the night right before the election? Does that bring
Yeah.
up certain concerning optics? I
Yeah.
would sure as hell say yes, but they
they're
don't care.
they're doing it on election day. They have announced that they're doing a drill on election day of a grid a cyber attack or something. But it looks like they're putting gallows up, by the way, at the White House, just as a point. Let's hope that's what they're doing, putting gallows up.
Who's they? I'd like to know. And
Well,
parts of the
whoever is
government.
it's a
Yeah.
government that's putting it up on, right, exactly.
Well,
So
let me add this
go
too.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Is that I don't think the entire government speaks in one lockstep. And so one portion, I mean, this is where you know more than I do, where there may be people, parts of the certain intelligence apparatus that want to cover up certain things, others that don't. There are vast numbers of people in the FBI who are the good guys that want to make things happen. And then there's people in the FBI or CIA,
Mhm, mhm.
fill in the three-letter, that are all about covering up the fact that they have become wealthy by, staying in lockstep with certain
Mm.
uh, unseen powers.
Right. There's a shadow government. I mean, Kennedy had clearly stated that in his 1961 American Newspapers Publishers Association speech at the Waldorf Astoria. There was a famous speech, and he described the enemy to a T. Um, there is a competing. Let me just say this: there
Issues.
is actually in the behind the scenes people who you don't ever see. There's a war really going on at the Pentagon as well. There's infighting. There's also infighting between the ruling families on the planet as
Mm-hmm.
to one is basically losing power and control, which is the Rothschilds and royals, and the other side, which is more the transhumanist agenda. So first you have our choice. If our choice is between transhumanism and Satanism, it's not really much of a choice. But
Yay, yay.
honestly,
Lucky us.
I
You
know.
know?
But this looks to me like the Hegelian dialect, where Trump talked about the pause, this 4-year pause. And he said in his campaign speech, he said that if we didn't have, it's a good thing we had this pause, because if we didn't have this pause will make it easier to do the things that we want to do. Now, he said that at a rally. Now, this whole thing's orchestrated. That's
Mm-hmm.
my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's all orchestrated so that we don't um opposing the New World Order is one thing. That's the obvious enemy we can get around and oppose.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the beast system that we don't see that's actually the end goal. See what I'm saying? So there's this false light that I'm afraid people might fall into when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to this, um, and not really understand who the people are that run the planet. They are master deceivers. They have 3 PhDs in deception. They
Mm-hmm.
are deceivers. So we're all being deceived, and the question is, what are they distracting us from? It's all political theater. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
who was it that said, give them circuses and bread and they'll never rebel.
one of the
right?
Roman
Yeah,
leaders.
Roman leaders, exactly. And so they continue to do that. It was a Roman circus at one point. Now it's the NFL football games or any of the football
Yes,
games. And now
yes.
it's also Hollywood and everything and anything else under the sun that they can distract us with so that we're not looking at what they're doing.
Mhm,
So that's what you have to ask. You have to ask the question, what are they distracting us from? And
mhm.
it's ultimately the beast system. It's easy to say, oh, we don't want, the new world order. We don't want a one world government. We don't want a one world religion. But
Tell me about the B system. What do you mean?
the
Not
beast system is the total digital control, total control of us with the digital system.
okay.
So that means taking the mark, taking the chip into our bodies. Unfortunately, most of us people who have taken the jab have all have nanotechnology inside of them as a result of that. And I did find out that you can tobacco, I'm sorry, nicotine
Mhm.
literally dissolves this nanotechnology in our bodies.
I've
The
heard that too.
nanotech,
Yeah.
nicotine. Okay. Um, and there's also things you can do to get rid of the spike protein and things you can do to mitigate some of this, but not all of it.
Mhm.
So that's we have to know our enemy. We have to know who really runs this world and not get all negative about it, but learn how to play offense, basically.
Yes. Well, I think that's going to be, you know, I look at this and I really do feel like that the energy of light and I know I'm not saying be a Pollyanna. I mean, not by any stretch, but I do feel like that people have to be held accountable on this plane for the terrible things that we do. We just can't let them slink off to live and fight another day, live, fight, kill, deceive another day. So, so many uh, a phrase I've heard made use of by, I would say primarily the Democrats, is that they go after Trump for talking about the enemies within our country. Says, well, I do believe there are enemies within our country. Those would be anyone who is trying to disrupt an election, and that's occurring.
Mhm.
That is occurring. There are people who are here illegally with plans to damage or hurt people in some way, shape, or form. Those are enemies within the country. Those are enemies from within.
Yeah.
So if someone's trying to say, oh, they're, Trump is going to attack all of the enemies within, meaning anyone who disagrees with
Mhm,
him,
mhm,
that's a lie. He's looking at people who are actively trying to harm us. And anyone who does not recognize that there are bodies, groups, factions that are here to harm and or
mhm,
control us is kidding themselves. At a spiritual level, I see it. I mean, again, I've seen in very small bits and pieces
mhm,
truly evil energy. And so the
mhm,
idea that with all of these evil factions, these groups of evil people who don't think the way you do and I do,
mhm, mhm,
who don't think about being helpful when someone falls, but rather how can I take advantage of it? There's a lot of those people out there, and we just can't act like they don't exist and to don't be mean. It's like being mean. I mean, I'm ready to be mean if someone wants to harm the people I love. I just
yeah.
am.
I remember driving down the road one day. It was kind of like a busy highway, but it wasn't like a major highway, parkway kind of thing, or interstate. It was just, you know, I guess it was a state highway or something. And it was, there was this older gentleman who was pulled over on the side of the road and he was out of his car. And it looked like he was really, like you shouldn't be out of your car on a fast, it was like 50
No,
mile an hour lane, speed
no.
limit there. So it's kind of not really the safest thing to do. So he seemed a little disoriented to me and I immediately stopped and I was like, oh my God, I gotta see if he's okay, at least if he needs a cell phone or make a call or something. And which he did. And so it all went all right. But, you know, um, we do have to be careful though. We shouldn't be doormats, nor should we be another good application for the word baited either, because you have
Yes,
people who are deliberately like causing accidents just to kind of carjack you and stuff. So
yes.
you have to use some common sense with this too.
Yeah, we have free
Yeah.
will, but we have two eyes. Use them all. Use the
Yeah.
eyes, keep them open,
Mhm.
recognize, that and in an instance like that, you trusted your intuition. You may have been
Right.
rushing by it and getting a general sense, oh, this will be okay, I'll help.
Yeah.
But everybody, pay attention to your own spidey senses, your own intuition. That is a
Right.
gift from God. The same way that your intellect,
Mhm.
your um, skills, your talents, your good looks, your this, your that, your reasoning, it's another talent. Use it.
Yeah. Let's just check in with the chat one more time and we'll just see if there's anybody with any other questions. And I don't see anybody with any questions, but I want to thank everybody who's come by, Jenny, Cheryl, Sunny, Charlene, and to anyone else who's been watching. Yeah, we're very censored here, so it would be really nice if everybody could spread the word that we're here on Friday nights doing these readings and having these discussions about these topics because it applies to everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody's lost somebody, and there's always um, so much healing that is done just getting messages from our loved ones who thanks to Mark and his talent, we can get that. We can heal. It's almost like I'm telling you, Mark, do you ever see like transformations in people like
Yes.
before the reading and then after the reading? Like do you
Well,
notice or do you notice like a major energy change shift like of a positive, more,
yes.
healing nature? Tell me. Yeah.
Well, what I see is that someone who's, in just, it's like, imagine having, if you were physically cut, you were hit with something, you have an open sore wound on your arm, and it's not healing. Well, we can have that in a spiritual sense too. And the idea that when someone on the other side can come forward and convey some things about, like, this is happening in your home right now. I'm here because I see this here and I'm telling you I see it. And so it's like, okay, for someone in suffering, it's like, okay, I got something. It's like the conversation continued. Maybe I can talk to them, but I know they see me. So much of it is like, I just wonder if this person is still caring, looking in on me. And the answer is like, yes, yes, yes. They know what kind
Mm,
of flowers you've got on the table. They know that you have new earrings. They know that, you're wearing a different pair of boots. You're doing this, you're doing that. You've got car trouble. I wish I was there to help. I hear
mm,
all of this stuff.
mm.
And that's really helpful because then someone says, all right, I mean, it's one thing to not have someone with you, and it's quite another to think that they are quote unquote dead. People are the other side are not dead. They've transformed. They've
Mm.
crossed over and they're still conscious. They still have a sense of humor. That's another thing that I was going to say. It's like people on the other side, they haven't stopped laughing about things. They still make fun. If someone was a joker in life, they don't stop being that. I mean, they they
Mm.
they let you know there's funny things that occur. They give you things that make them laugh. They say something a certain way that during a rough reading, you hear their tone of voice and it's like, that's them, because it's not a normal turn of phrase, so know that they're there, and just recognize that, okay, if I know my loved one, my husband, my son, my wife, whoever it is still conscious, then I can be okay and move forward in my life without feeling guilt of not being there with them. Keep
Well,
living.
Well, Sunny, thank you for that because that's very reassuring and it's very, very healing. And that's really what it's all about is, being able to move on, not to forget about the person, but being able to continue to function as a person. That's just really the most important thing. Sunny
Mhm.
said these Friday night get-togethers are great. Thank you. And I just wrote, thank you for joining us. We are all in this together. So it's top of the hour. I don't have any more questions. And Charlene, thank you as well. Thank you so much, Charlene, for that.
Thank you,
I
everybody.
appreciate that. Yeah, and everyone who's watching. And we'll be back next Friday
Yes, we will.
at the same time, 8 p.m. God willing. I mean, if we do have that cyber attack, maybe
We'll
we
have,
won't.
oh gosh, yeah.
I just hope that's not the case. But
Vote early if you can.
Yeah, and some people were complaining that people who had problems voting that they shouldn't be talking about it on social media because it'll discourage people from voting. But I think, it's a free will choice, right? It's a free will choice. Well, look, here is Mark's website if you want to make an appointment with Mark, if you want to schedule a private reading, this is where you would go. This is marknelsonmedium.com, and you can book a reading here. And did you also have that other link to the other report that
No, it hasn't come up yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
So
was
when it
on the
does,
New York Times, but
yeah.
I was interviewed by House Beautiful. I'm waiting for that to show up, and I'll put that up there as soon as I
Okay,
can.
that's great. Yeah. So Mark was in New York Times. He was mentioned in the New York Times's article about real estate and people who buy houses where there was someone who passed away. It could be haunted or it could be something like that. And the realtors call him and ask him to do a clearing and find out what's going on and try to encourage the spirits to move on so the new homeowners can come in peace. Not
Yes,
worry about that.
without an extra tenant, you know?
So it's amazing now Mark's got all these abilities without the extra tenants. It's funny. And definitely this is the person to call if you are concerned about that and you want to move into a new home. And I'm just amazed at how courageous you and Barb are when you go do this together, because that's his wife, his uh partner.
In crime, we always say
I
partner
was
in
going to
crime.
say that, but I wasn't sure if you wanted me
Go for it.
to.
No, we say it.
Yes, partner in crime. Yeah, no, they do the paranormal investigations together, and it's amazing when you hear them talk about it and how well they work together, and they're fearless. They are fearless. So
I know
it's
God's with
amazing.
us.
Yeah.
God helps me.
Oh,
Otherwise, I'd be just a sucker walking in waiting to get smacked.
yeah.
So,
Wow, amazing. Well, times are going to be interesting. So, I mean, unless there's anything major and breaking, we'll be back, God willing, next Friday. If
with a new
not, then
president.
we
Yeah,
will
see.
look, if there's going to be this social unrest right after the election, definitely stock up on some food. Now, for everybody who's watching this, I know this is like really last minute, but I did my own investigation because I went to clean through my pantry and everything. And I went to the USGA website and found out that they said any canned food that you have, it doesn't really matter what the use by date is, because the way it's processed and packaged, it should last indefinitely if the cans are not damaged, rusted, or um, had extreme heat variations and things like that. If it's stored properly and it's not damaged or rusted, the contents of the can should last, they said, indefinitely on their website. Now, what does the use date by date mean? It means that's the last date, or by that date, that you will
Mhm.
get the product at its optimum um
Freshness,
freshness or optimum uh
nutritional
taste.
value. Yeah.
Well, it didn't say that the nutritional value decreased. It
Oh,
did
okay.
say that it wouldn't be quite as tasteful, perhaps, as, I mean, the website didn't say this, but it just meant that it was and they're required to do that, to say, this is the product we're selling, and it's going to be taste this good until this date. And after this
Yeah.
date, it'll still taste good, but not quite as good. As long as the can
Those
is
darn
not,
marketing
I
people with
know,
the
right?
things they say.
Right. But it's not, if the can is rusted, forget it. If the can is dented, forget it, because it will compromise the seal on the top.
Oh,
And I know
right.
everybody's going to be like, oh my God, I have so many cans that are dented, but don't buy them. Try not to buy them that way, really. I
Yeah.
mean, I have inadvertently, unknowingly myself done that. But so it is good to know that your canned food is going to last longer than the date that's marked on there. And so it's good to just stock up on that just in case we do have some interruptions in supply, or interruptions in uh it may not be safe to go out for a little while until things quell down. We don't know. We don't know what to expect, really.
Mhm.
There's a few things we're expecting, but so that canned food, except for baby formula, it absolutely won't keep its nutritional value past that date. Like, if it goes, so it has a date that it's optimum, and you can't go past it. So that's the only exception to this is with baby formula. Okay, so that's really not go past that date. So that's what we have for tonight, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Mark, for joining me again. And please give my regards to the mystery lady, Barb.
Yeah, I certainly
And
will.
let her know. We'll look forward to seeing her again soon. And God bless us and God bless America. I mean, we're going to
God
need it.
bless America.
And the next time we meet, we're going to have this election finished by then. I have a lot of intel sources that are saying it's not going to happen, that something's going to happen. We got North Korea shooting off missiles. I don't know, folks. Anything could happen at this point.
Pray for
Just
peace.
pray for peace. That's it. And we'll see you all next week. And so thank you for joining us. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.